formula, which you already have. That's the standard form. Now what we're going to do is relate this equation to these different pieces of this ellipse. What are things you already know without saying? Well, you know that this H and K is the center. And just like with a circle where it was r squared, and that kind of related to the radius, or directly did, and the diameter, just like that, this a squared and b squared is going to relate to the length of these axes. In fact, we're going to go and name those now. So this longer axis, no matter if it looks like this oval or if it looks like that oval, is the major axis. And this smaller axis is the minor axis. We can relate those to these equations, these variables, a and b. In fact, in this case, the x, right, the horizontal, is the larger. And so that means that this length is a and this length is a. The whole length is 2a. The smaller length, the vertical, is b. And so we could say that the minor axis length is 2b. See these x's I drew? Go ahead and copy these down. Those are, like we saw on the board, those are the foci. Each one is a focus. And we're going to look at the equation for the focus. This major axis, it comes from sliding it up. And so we could make a triangle of minor axis length b and a diagonal of major axis length a. And so our formula for the focus is going to be, well, look at that. It looks like a Pythagorean triangle, it is. And so I know it's going to be the longer, the hypotenuse squared, minus the smaller squared. And that tells me the distance, this length right here. What do you know? Well, you know, again, lots of things. You know this idea of the center. You know that this corresponds to something about the major axis. So go ahead and sketch the center in what you can, and then check back in. So pause. Now remember that the standard form isn't in, like, it doesn't say 16 or 36, right? It says something like a squared or b squared. So let's rewrite it. X minus 3 squared over, that's right, 4 squared plus y plus 1 over, that's right, 6 squared. And what that means is this is the x, that's the horizontal. So horizontally, from this center 3 comma negative 1, I need to go to the right 4 and to the left 4. And vertically, it's by the y, I need to go, yeah, exactly, up 6 and down 6. It's vertically stretched. It's centered at 3 comma a negative 1 with these points here are called vertices. And specifically, this longer axis, the major axis, those are what's called the real vertices, right? So vertices. And these are called co-vertices, or the co-vertex. Some more things about the foci, or the focus. The focus are always on the major axis. So they're going to be along that major axis line. And we can determine what they are, remember, by taking this larger one, so it's the square root of the larger one, minus the smaller. So 6 squared minus 4 squared. That'll tell us the distance from here to here. So compute that. So in other words, the distance from this point to this point is the square root of 20 units, or from this point to this focus is the square root of 20 units. Now, where did I start? Well, I started at 3 comma a negative 1. And then how much am I adding to get to here? Right, I'm adding the square root of 20. And I'm starting again at 3, comma, -1. How much am I subtracting to get to here? Exactly, I'm subtracting 20 units. And so those would be the coordinates of the foci. And go to writing the equation from the graph. This is very straightforward and a delightful problem. We know that all ellipses are in the certain forms. Write that standard form equation. We'll go from there. Again, label what you know. Like, for example, do you already know what A and B and the vertexes? Label everything you can and then press play. So I know that the center is 10, comma 2. So I can write x minus 10 and y minus 2 squared. And I remember that for the x, it's the distance from the vertex to the center. That would be A. So let's see, 10, from 3 to 10, that's 7. And I don't just write 7 there, right? It says 7 squared, so I write 7 squared. And I know that B is the distance from, let's see, 2 to 6, right? 2 to 6, so that's 4. I write 4 squared, and I'm done.